There's this moment in some games where you just stop remembering what happened. You finish the match, look at the scoreboard, and think, wait, how did we lose that? You weren't playing badly, you weren't trolling, feeding, but something felt just off. Like you were there, but not really. And I started noticing it more and more, not just in myself, but in my teammates too. People running the same routes, taking the same fights, using abilities without thinking, just kind of existing in the match, but not really playing it. And that's when it hit me. Most of us are losing games not because of bad aim or bad teammates, but because we're on autopilot. It's quiet, it's subtle, and it ruins way more games than you think. And it's strange because you're moving, but you're not really thinking. It's easy to confuse movement with momentum. You spawn in, run the same path you always run, pick the same angles, follow the same teammate, take the same fights, even when they're bad ones. You're not frozen, you're active, but you're not really present. This is what autopilot looks like. You're doing what feels like the right thing because it's familiar, not because it's smart. You're reacting instead of deciding, and you're surviving instead of playing. And the worst part is, it doesn't feel wrong while it's happening. It feels safe, comfortable. But that comfort is what slowly kills your impact, because while you're running on muscle memory, the other team is adapting. They're noticing your habits, predicting your positioning, punishing your patterns. You're not losing because you're bad, you're losing because you stopped thinking. And I say that with zero judgment because I do it all the time. Sometimes I'll go back and rewatch a game and realize I played 80% of it just on cruise control. I wasn't checking my flanks, wasn't adjusting my tempo, wasn't even thinking about my ult economy or enemy cooldowns. I was just kind of there. The scary thing about autopilot is that it feels like you're playing your best because it's easy, it flows. But in reality, it's the absence of the conscious decision making. The second I started catching myself in those patterns, questioning my routes, changing my rhythm, and actually turning my brain on and thinking mid-match, that's when the game started to open up again. And now I kind of want to talk about how it affects your team without you really noticing. When you're on autopilot, it doesn't always look like a mistake. You miss all of the small things, like where your teammates are, or what cooldowns were just used, and you take a 1v1 without realizing that your supports are reloading. You rotate late because you assumed someone else will just handle it, and those little slip-ups add up fast over the course of a game. Because in these types of games, timing is everything. Being 2 seconds too late isn't almost right, it's wrong. And when even one player checks out, it throws off the rhythm for the whole team. Suddenly your tank pushes in alone, your support wastes ult trying to save you, and the whole squad just starts blaming each other without ever realizing it started with you just zoning out. Autopilot makes you predictable, predictable makes you punishable. And if everyone's reacting to your bad habits instead of playing the game, you've already lost the fight before it even started. Now I want to talk about the subtle difference between reacting and reading. Autopilot tricks you into thinking you're still aware because you're reacting. Someone peeks, you shoot. It's like, oh, what's that? An enemy used an ult? You dodge. A fight breaks out? You show. But reacting is the same as reading. Reacting is surface level. You're responding to things as they happen live. Reading is deeper. It's about seeing the game one step before it unfolds. Like noticing that their tank is itching forward more than usual. Or that the enemy DPS hasn't showed up in a while and it's probably flanking. Or that your teammate is setting up a play, but they need just 1 second longer before you dive in. Those reads don't happen when you're on mental cruise control. Autopilot keeps you in survival mode, only focused on what's directly in front of you, only answering problems as they arrive. But when you're truly present, you start anticipating instead of reacting. And that's when the shift that separates average players from really smart players. The best plays don't happen by accident. They happen because someone was reading just a little bit further ahead than everybody else. So how do you actually break this bad habit mid-game? Well, autopilot doesn't announce itself. Like, you don't get a warning saying, hey, autopilot kicking in. 1 minute you're queuing up with intention, and the next you're 5 minutes deep, barely remembering what you did. But the good news is, you can snap out of it, even mid-match. It starts with asking one question. Why am I doing what I'm doing right now? And if the answer is, because that's what I always do, or worse, I don't know, you're probably on autopilot mode. Breaking the bad habit means interrupting the rhythm. And it could be as simple as, just taking a second to look at the scoreboard, checking the ultimate status across the team, asking yourself, what's our win condition right now? Not that it was 2 minutes ago. That pause, however brief, pulls you back into the present moment. And it really makes you analyze like what your team needs right now. Another trick is to just change up your pace. Slow down if you've been rushing, and speed up if you've just been playing a little bit more passive. Even pinging something intentionally can reset your brain because suddenly you're choosing again instead of just coasting by. It's not about being perfect, it's about regaining control, just one decision at a time. Mid-game awareness isn't a switch, it's a muscle, and every time you catch yourself drifting and choosing to re-engage, that muscle just gets stronger and stronger. So now we kind of talked about like autopilot, how it affects your games. But let me tell you why this fix alone can make you feel instantly better. The moment you break out of autopilot, even just once, and even if it's just for a little bit, you feel it. It's like someone turned the lights back on in a dark room, and suddenly you're noticing teammate rotations again. You're making smarter pushes. You're not just reacting, you're responding. And that shift is energizing because now you're playing with the game, not just inside it. You're not stuck in bad habits, you're choosing. And whether you win or lose, that choice feels good. Autopilot is sneaky because it numbs you. It dulls your awareness, your decisions, and eventually your enjoyment. Because the second you re-engage, when you stop moving just to move and start thinking again, you feel sharper. You get curious again, and you start even having fun. Not because you're dominating, but because you're present in the moment. And being present in the moment turns every little play into something meaningful. A clutch ultimate, a smart flank, a well-timed disengage. They all feel better when you're the one who made that choice, not some script in your head. And fixing autopilot isn't about winning more, it's about reconnecting with why you play in the first place. And sometimes that's all it takes to fall back in love with the game. So if any part of this hit home at all, and maybe you've been autopiloting without even realizing it, maybe the game's been feeling off, but you couldn't really explain why. Try it. Next match, slow down just a little bit. Ask yourself, what's actually happening? Where are your teammates? What's the win condition? Am I reacting or am I reading? You don't have to be perfect, just present. Because the second you break the pattern, even for just a little bit, you'll feel it, that shift, that spark. And when you start playing the game with intention again, that's when the game feels good. Thanks for watching. And more importantly, thank you guys.